Ready.
Alright, everyone. So this isn't like the last thing of Black Writers Weekend, but this is like the last part, like the sessions, the panels. We have a really dope event happening tomorrow evening, so do not leave. But it's been like a whole weekend, kind of almost coming to a close. First off, how are you just feeling, like right now?
Oh, for real? I gotta be honest. I cannot feel my right leg all day. I'm waiting for my publicist to bring my food because I may sneak a bite while I'm up here. But what I really enjoyed though is seeing everybody actually enjoy themselves. It's kind of like a very weird thing, but that's what I kind of get off on. It's just kind of seeing you guys enjoy it, engage. Y'all get some resources, you build some relationships and some connections, and people are kind of getting their feet wet by sitting on panels and moderating. So that's what I enjoy. On the flip side, it's not really fun. But to watch y'all have fun, definitely.
So, just kind of curious, like, how have y'all, like, where'd you first meet Tamika or hear about Tamika?
Oh, that's a good question. Who know me? Okay, Rick, Lee, and this gorgeous lady here.
How you doing?
Oh, right.
I met you through you.
Shout out to me.
That's right. You're the connecting piece, and we met in the middle of COVID. We connected while I was positive for COVID, virtually, and we created a working relationship, and then we virtually connected with Tamika, and then when I met her in person, I was like, oh, that's my sister. So we here twins.
One other person.
I met Tamika through Kimberly Latrice Jones. She came to my podcast lunch.
And I got to meet her there as well. She dropped some nuggets that night.
It was a very beautiful event. All I was saying, like, ooh, how can I, get on this level? It was nice.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying. Because I've been producing it, but, sometimes people forget to put me on the panel.
Alright, so I first met you at a Podfest. I think it was 2020, 2021. I don't know, the years just blended. I remember because you were giving a talk on podcasting. I thought it was dope seeing a black woman in there, like in the seat. Like, podcasting is, we in there, but it's still a very white industry. So seeing Tamika on there was really dope. And I remember reaching out and just being like, yo, how can I support? Just want to help out. And she was like, yeah, come on through. And just like, you all like different tabs. Like, what? You for real?
Put you to work.
Yeah. So I just want to say, just thank you. It's just really cool to see how you just truly trust and empower people to be a part of all this stuff as well. Like, this is truly a community. It's not just a conference where you come, learn to your nose and dip. You're really a part of it. Y'all be just live where I'm at now today. But I want to really focus in on the podcast part of it, because you do a lot of dope things, and you talk about a lot of things, all the things you're doing for people. We don't always get to hear about podcasts and all the cool things you're doing.
Yeah.
So can you just first off, just in general, just talk to us about what the podcast is and the initial inspiration for it?
Well, my podcast, which is called Traces of Mika, it's a memoir pod, and it's the first of its kind. So y'all know I like to be innovative. Look at the weekend, look at the schedule. No one puts together book events like this. I'm cuckoo, in real life. And so I wanted to continue to tell stories, and so the productions I put on is another form of storytelling. But I got a little stagnant with the writing books. Right now, I'm about to release my 18th book next month. And I write about love for the most part, and I found myself wanting to talk about my own experiences, things I was connected to in real life. And my journey with motherhood, my journey with marriage and divorce, my journey with depression and bipolarism, which I don't think I was bipolar. I just could not manage my emotions. That's a whole other conversation I'm talking about. And I wanted to really dive into those experiences more. But I didn't want to write about it. I wanted to talk about it because I think I'm funny and stuff, and I think when I freestyle my conversations, so much can really kind of come out, and I want to kind of challenge myself. So what I did was, and this is crazy, crazy. I used to record myself when I was a child. From maybe like age 8 up until about 11, I recorded myself on cassettes. I was a PK kid. So I would record myself praying a lot of my original songs and all of that, and just talking, reciting poetry and stuff like that. And I knew that one day growing up I was going to take those cassettes and I was going to use, I don't know how, but what I did was I took some of those recordings and I made skits in between my podcasts. That way you get to hear young Mika, and now you get to hear Mika from today. And so that's why it's called Traces of Mika, because you're getting all of, the elements of who I was, who I am now, who I'm trying to become. And the type of conversations I have, I'm very transparent. It's a memoir. So essentially, you're going to hear some things that are not only true, but somewhat uncomfortable, because I reveal a lot of truths that I did not talk about at all. Like, I was at the height of my writing career. Like, I was living like a rock star, y'all. And I had like 13 boyfriends at one time. I was doing it. Like, I was traveling everywhere. I was making hella money. Like, I was just doing the most. And then half the time I would take my children with me to like the book, like trade shows and stuff like that, because they would hate when I was on the road. But I was also in this marriage that I hated. I love you family, but I don't want to be with you like that. That was my whole thing. And he fought that every step of the way. And he was like the root of a lot of trauma that trickled down. And if you listen to my podcast, you will hear my experiences in that marriage, from the arguing to the mental abuse, to the fighting, to his conviction, because he was convicted of sexually assaulting another woman while we were married. And you know how we're black women, right? And I ain't talking about this. And I was at the height of my writing career at that time, and I'm out doing book signings, I'm talking to people, and I'm smiling. But it's a lot of bullshit going on behind the scenes. And what's crazy is, for him, I was supposed to make it all okay. I was the one that was carrying on the burden and making sure that bills were still getting paid. My children never even knew what was going on, because that's what we do, we protect our children. And so with them being ignorant to everything that was going on, he was able to create his own narrative. And when he created his own narrative, I became the only enemy in my own home with my own children. You broke our family up. You're the reason why this and that. It was bad, y'all. I was living hell in my own home. But if my children were my children, I would have kicked their ass out a long time ago. I didn't do nothing. That's how I felt. But because they were my children, they're young and impressionable, they don't know no better. So I'm taking the punches, I'm taking the hits. My children used to be so manipulative. I had CPS in my house interviewing me on every month. I could have had my children taken away. And then when I would tell my husband at the time, can you stop these lies, stop doing this? His response would be, I just want my family back. So in other words, you'll stop manipulating lies to our kids if I just let you back in my home. And I stuck to my guns, and I did not let him back in my home, but I also paid the price for that. So I talk about that really deeply on my podcast, and like in real detail, like everything that I went through with my children, not really enjoying mother. I hated being a mom. I did not get to enjoy it at all. And so I think this is also why I fell out of love with writing love stories, because I was beginning to be so broken down. And this is just one trauma that I'm talking. I had multiple traumas and things going on back to back for at least 10 years. And in the realm of doing all that, I'm doing things like this. And I'm connecting the dots for other writers, and I'm creating all these great experiences, but when I go home and I got to deal with all these things. So this is why I started that podcast, because I want to have this conversation, and I needed to purge so that I can continue to heal and be okay. Because I was bitter and I was upset for quite a long time, because I ain't do nothing. Like, I suffered all this, but I didn't. Well, granted, I probably did do something, but you know what I mean. So, but essentially, that's the core of why I decided to do my memoir podcast, because I wanted to begin to heal, but I also wanted to talk about, and there's a lot of other people that's going through a lot of darkness and pain and disappointments. I ain't got no mama, I ain't got no daddy, I ain't even got no siblings I can lean on, I ain't got no grandparents. So when it was time for me to pick up and dust myself off, I had to do it by myself. One of the hardest things I've ever done. try not to get emotional. Because I root for myself now and I'm proud of myself for the things I've done. But that was not easy. That was not easy.
How many of y'all kind of struggle with like just truly being vulnerable in your work? Yeah. Oh, being vulnerable in your work, just truly expressing like how you really are, how you really feel, and not sugarcoating. Because you definitely could have played it safe. You could have created a whole different podcast. You could have done
Like, nah.
It was brave.
It definitely was. Because then in season 2, I'll talk about this too, in season 2, because my daughter is like very close to her dad. And so even though she sees and knows the truth, it don't matter. Her dad's like her buddy, her best friend. So my daughter was interviewed, and I don't know if you guys were here earlier, Nicole Mitchell, she was on the Say Her Name panel. That's my best friend, my best friend. Everyone in my life, that's my closest to her. And so my daughter was on a panel. She does Girls Who Brunch. It's a youth organization for girls to build their self-esteem. And my daughter was on a panel, and they asked my daughter something about how did you discover your self-worth? And my daughter responded with, well, I had to really discover it by myself because she said something so distasteful. And I was like, no, this vision. Are you kidding me? Yes. My daughter has given her everything physically, emotionally, and that she could ever ask for. And then like people like Kimberly Jones or Tia Williams or Nicola Mitchell. My daughter has been in the room with so many living legends. She has seen so many powerful, strong black women, including myself, and she can see me pay all the bills by myself. Right? But yet, you have to find your worth by yourself, and I ain't help you out. I'm the enemy in your story. So I took that audio and I put it in my podcast because I wanted people to see. I ain't hide from it because that's her experience. That's her truth. So I didn't come back and be like, you lying, that's not true. That's her truth. I may not agree with it.
And it hurts.
Oh yeah. Because I still got stretch marks from birthing her. I almost lost my life from birthing her. And when things were going on with my marriage and the family, I protected her from everything that was going on. You didn't even know. You didn't know your dad. When you was visiting your dad, you thought he was at camp. I lied. I was playing these games so that y'all could still love him. And yeah, I was upset. Very, very bitter. And so this is why I played that audio in my podcast, and then I talked about it. Because I want people to see, this is life. Yes. This is what happens. These things happen. They're ugly, they're beautiful, they're indifferent, and this is mine. And I'm dealing with it, and this is how I'm dealing with it. So, and I'm still dealing with it. You know, we've got a lot better though now. Like my daughter's got to be 20 now, and I think I'm gonna have her on season 3 of the podcast so we can talk about her part. Because now you're a grown woman, so now we got to have some conversations, and you're gonna also take accountability in some of the things that you were doing. Because I can go into a whole other realm for like she took on her dad's mentality then. Like, okay, now it's my turn to mess with mom. Now it's my turn to lie on her. Now it's my turn to be. So I was just, it was a lot, y'all. And not to say that I'm perfect and stuff, but
So, how do you take something that's like a kind of like a vessel for healing, but it's also still like a podcast, kind of a way to still want to perform well, help you to just continue to build everything you're building? How do you take something that is healing, like something for healing, and still push it and grow it and stay consistent with it, even though you may need to like take time to sit with some of these things?
Honestly, I think about the outcome of what happens when I don't. Because honestly, I am my biggest supporter. I'm my biggest investor. I'm my biggest confidant. I confide in myself. I encourage myself. I root for myself. And so it's I've been tapping into my self-love now for like the past, ever since I kicked my daughter out. And I'll talk about that on my podcast. I had to cut some ties. Because I had to be okay. She was old enough now, cool. And and let me do this, and then I need to save my son too. That's a whole other story too. So I began to really focus on me for the past 4 years, just pouring into me, crying, laying and staying there. Sometimes I just lay down, I just stay there. I ain't get up. I allow myself to feel it. And honestly, and then I thought about what happens if I don't push this content. I thought about what happens if I quit. 'Cause I don't know if y'all was here last year. I'm like, I don't want to do this no more. Y'all was getting on my nerves. Like, not y'all. But it was just a lot of, it's a lot of people. Like, when you're doing this, people have an expectation. And everyone wants to talk to you directly. It's a lot, y'all. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm crazy. Because who does this? Who signs up for these things? Me. And I'm able to kind of deal with it, right? Fifi does it too. And I'm able to deal with it because I see the bigger picture. It's not about me. And I think about all the outcomes, what happens when y'all get in this room and y'all make those connections. Or you listen to somebody on the panel and you're inspired. Someone earlier today, I ain't talked to this lady in 10 years. It was a brand I launched over a decade ago. And she wrote articles for me for this website. I ain't talked to this lady in 10 years. She took those articles and she made a whole book out of them. And she showed up to my event today and she said, I want to thank you. And I'm like, well, what I did? And she used to write me over a day. And I've had a lot of stories like that. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll keep going. That's what I be saying in my mind. Okay, I'm going to keep going because there are people that are benefiting from me just doing something. So it's not really for me, it's for y'all. And that's honestly what keeps me going. Because if I stop, those type of stories will stop too. So I guess I'm kind of sacrificing myself. But you know what, God, he has blessed me in this past year. You know, he's been holding me down and guiding me, mainly because I have begun to turn back to him. Again, I had to go through the wilderness of being upset and being bitter and being mad and cussing him out and all this BS. And I was mad. Like, he was dealing me a lot of cards. It wasn't fun. And so now I'm getting to the point where I'm back to that PK kid. I'm going back to my roots. And I understand my purpose. I'm not mad about my purpose anymore. And I'm just going with the flow.
Appreciate that.
And you know what, Walt? Now let me just highlight Walt. Walt is one of the few people on this planet that when he met me from jump, he was like, what I need to do? Oh, okay, I'm gonna do this today. You bring shit to me that I don't even have to ask. And I always tell you that I appreciate you, but I really do, Walt, because there are not a lot of people that give me resources, connect the dots with people like Brittany, like good people. And I know that if you're bringing them to me, they are a reflection of you, because you are a good fucking person. And I think you know that.
Put your hands. How many of y'all made like a really dope connection this weekend? Alright, and I'm gonna call someone out. Look ahead. Who did you meet this weekend?
Who did I meet this weekend?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't remember everyone's name, but the panel that was earlier, what was it, 1 o'clock?
The say her name, say her name.
Yeah. That was just amazing to me because we have all of these great women that are doing great things. And so many people don't want to listen to y'all. You know what I mean? And it's sad. But y'all still doing your thing and still making an impact on people every day. Because that's the only way we're going to get together. We have to support each other.
Yeah.
Because we're doomed if we don't. So we need to learn how to support each other, support our women more than anything, because they are power. I mean, more than we realize.
We are.
So, is that good enough?
Yeah, you're right. Like me again? Okay. Were you sitting here earlier?
Yes.
When Kimberly Jones was speaking?
Yes.
Okay, but can you tell us about someone you met this weekend or experience?
Well, first off, the Kimberly Jones experience, she
That was an
should do a
experience.
Las Vegas residency right now. She's like, that was an experience in and of itself. And we shared a commonality of both recently losing our mothers and how that impacted who we are as women, as writers, and how to also, make sure that we're not wasting time with Bubba and his, baby mamas and all that stuff. And also about healing. I met other people over the weekend. I met this woman named Ursula. We went chopping it up outside on the way to come in here. I met a couple, they left, but one of them's an educator, and the wife has a publication company, and so I've met other people, just inadvertently. So it's just been great. This is my first time. My name is Shirley Jones Luke. I'm from Boston.
Welcome. And I forgot, what's your name? My name? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Tony.
Tony?
Yeah.
Oh, was your first time?
Yes, that's just Tony. I'm Anthony Cordova, Tony C, the man about love,
Well, welcome. That's what I love about just like intentional communities. Like I was saying before, like all the people we're meeting, like they're here for something, and not just to take, but also give as well. I don't even remember people's names. I'm bad with names, but I just remember all the energy I've been receiving. Yeah, I remember the face. Now, earlier you were talking about this podcast being a way for you to heal, but then also appreciate yourself. A lot of self-love. And earlier when we were speaking, you were talking about self-love languages.
Yeah.
Now, I'm late to the game, though. I've been learning about love languages this past year, and it's just really powerful to really know how you can communicate with others. Like, how many of you are familiar with like love languages? All right, cool. Can one of y'all call one of them out?
Time.
Provided.
Provided.
Physical touch, affirmation, giving, affirmation.
Okay, well, I'll pass the test. Ready? So, can you talk a little bit about like the self-love languages? Because that's a term I haven't heard of.
Oh, for real? Okay, well, for real, you ain't heard that?
I've never heard all that. Self-love language.
Okay. So I just applied it and just put self in front of love because as I've gotten older, I didn't get a chance to really learn Tamika as an individual. I became a mom really young. And then before that, my mom was, sick. And so I was working young. And I was helping around the house. I was just responsible. And then before that, I was a PK kid, almost in church 5 days out the week. So being like a kid was just not, like the norm, not the thing. And then I didn't really connect with other children my age because, again, I'm a PK kid. So I didn't even listen to secular music, which is, like rap and R&B and all that other stuff. I didn't say since I was like 12, 13 years old, going into my teen years. So as I've gotten older and when I realized my experience with my children was not what I thought it was going to be, then when I realized that my experience in my marriage was not what I had hoped it to be, and then when I started really just getting to know people and how people can be mean, liars, like just the ugly parts of it, I began to realize, wait a minute, I gotta pull back a little bit because what am I looking for? What am I seeking? Because having love for your children, that's great, that's beautiful, that's supposed to come automatically. But I wasn't receiving it automatically. Sometimes I had to work for it. I felt like I was auditioning for it. So I'm like, okay, well how can I be okay when it's just me in the room? So when I had to start really processing that question, I had to start thinking about those love languages and applying it to me with nobody else around. Like I'm gonna give myself the affirmations I need. I'm gonna give quality time to me. I'm gonna give myself gifts. What's the other ones? All the other ones I'm gonna give to myself. Right, acts of service. I'm gonna do it like I took myself to Greece this past summer. Yeah, I had my cheeks out and stuff. Like I was having fun in Greece. Like just doing stuff for me. And so that's where I started talking about self-love languages. Because we have to start loving ourselves first. We have to start pouring into ourselves first and identifying the things that we need before we can actually connect and make friendships with other people. Fifi, the hotline ring.
Like there's a lot of things that we told us, a lot of mantras we have for ourselves. Well, let's like one in particular that really is like issue.
I think it was the act of me talking to myself and talking through it. Because Because again, if no one is else around, and these are the things I need to hear, then I have to say it. So telling myself it's okay. When I didn't want to get up, talking to myself to get up and get through my day. When I was frustrated, I wanted to quit, talking to myself to find solutions. Just talking myself through that process. That's the main act that I adapted. That I felt like is the strongest love language that you can ever feel. It almost kind of goes back to my church days of manifesting things and speaking things over your life. Like I learned that even in church. Like your words have power. When you say these things, they have feelings and emotions behind them. So this is why I say I'm the shit now. This is why I say, go do this. Or and go do that. Give myself all these things that I feel like someone else should have given me. I give it to myself. Now that is the number one thing. It all starts with your words and your mindset. And I have to get those things together. Almost like tricking yourself before all those other things could align with what I wanted. I'm just waiting for my husband now, so I am single. So tell me how that means.
Making applications.
Yeah. And I'm serious. This is the first time I'm serious in my life, y'all. So I'm ready.
Actually, I have a whole show like a dating to type of thing.
Who's gonna be picking the me?
I'm gonna make
Alright, we'll take it going. Brittany's gonna lead. We'll have all casting.
I'm open. Let's make it make this work. Make it work.
Let's send it to Zeus.
I may find love today. Then you want to go to Zeus? That's worse than VH1 and all that.
Do you want one for Hulu?
I don't want that kind of
TV, Prime, Netflix.
I want the I want the soft, kind, sensual love. Not the fiery, fighting.
Hulu, that sweet stuff.
Yeah. Okay, Hulu. Okay, that could work.
Yeah.
A little drama.
Netflix is like
That's a good
Lifetime.
They ready for the drama.
Now wait a minute, there's nothing wrong with that little fiery stuff.
Yeah, just in one specific location.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there you go. In that area.
Yes.
Nowhere else.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like, you mad at me? Okay, let's make it out and go again.
Alright, coming soon, y'all, 2023. I think your podcast is really, just like as a podcast creator, it's really inspiring seeing the way you move and just like taking lead, like not waiting to see if it's trendy, but like, oh no, I tried that. Let me go after this and that. Now, you were telling me about basically what you're doing next with the podcast and like not just audio, but truly getting into film. Can you talk about like what's coming for season 3 of Traces of Mika?
Yeah. Okay, so this is gonna be fun, y'all. So this fall, I'm releasing Traces of Mika, a visual memoir. It's a full-length documentary, and so it follows me. And Lily's one of the producers on the documentary, but it follows me back home. I go back home to Fort Worth to connect with my mother's side of the family. I host a barbecue. I have conversations with my dad, and we talk about his absence and things like that. And that man, I call my ex-husband that man. But he makes a little cameo appearance because he just had to insert himself in the content. But you get to see me kind of connect and engage in my family and try to heal and make an understanding of why I'm not as close with them, and just try to kind of bridge those gaps. So Traces of Mika, a visual memoir, comes out in the fall. But then I'm also going to be filming and recording season 3 for the podcast. And that may be the last season because then I'm going to tap into some other things. But now I have footage that I'm going to loop in between my episodes, and they're vintage footage from like the 90s. And so you get to actually see young Mika this time versus just hearing her. And you get to see my mom and my family and all of that from the 90s and all that. And I'm going to loop that in between the conversations I'm having now. And I'm going to actively talk about what healing looks like. Because I'm not healed, I'm healing. And I think as I continue to grow and age and all that jazz, I'm just wiser and I have a better approach, to disappointments and sadness and all that jazz. But I think healing and therapy and talking about these things is a lifelong thing. And so now I have continued to, have those conversations around my life and healing and things like that. So season 3, I'm gonna kind of expose that a little bit. And then maybe season 4 is the dating one.
Yeah. It's a new trace. Yeah.
And you know what? would make it, so I was talking to Lily too. I may do something with Mama Mika because all of my nieces and nephews call me that. Mama Mika, that's my.
Yes,
But I'm trying to connect a little more with the older Mika that's about to come. And so Mama Mika is gonna be my new thing. And so we may be doing something around Mama Mika.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. For sure.
Yes.
I think we're close on time, but I do want to have like 1 or 2 questions. Anyone have just a question? Oh, you ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
Thank you, Tamika, for, if I can call you today, or Mr. Newhouse.
No, you start with me.
Oh, okay.
Because I said man.
Thank you for putting on a Black Friday weekend, and I'm glad. I had a question based on something you had mentioned earlier about, putting all your stuff out there, all your, your personals. Do you fear like backlash or anything like that? Did you ever fear backlash when you put yourself out there, like really out there for people to know all the ins and outs of you? Like, because one of the reasons, because you're that someone that either you or you had asked earlier about how many really put themselves out there and are honest. And I was like, I can't because I, feel that someone will bring up, well, you said in this book or you said on an interview, and be, throw something back in your face or getting back to my kids. I'm a mom of 4, and my youngest is 9, my oldest is 19. So it's like, I don't want somebody to come up to them with your mama, she used to be a side chick and da 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 da. Yes, I was, but that's how there you go. But you know what I'm saying. So do you worry about any of that?
I hear what you're saying. In short form, no. I'm absolutely. I have no fear. I don't regret or have any type of negative feeling about the content I put out there because I'm not lying. I'm not embellishing either. I'm just talking. I'm just telling the truth about my experiences and people that are part of those experiences and they don't like what I'm saying. My response is, well, you should have hated them. You should have did something differently. Probably should never did that. Like, if you don't want me talking about it, that means that you probably should have not been done. So how I feel about the things I have revealed and said, and my thing about this is when it comes to my children, I begin to allow them to see me be human. When they were around, my daughter was probably about 12, 13. But when I got tired of putting on that, that makeup and that wall to protect them, I began to allow them to see me be human. So that my children grow up and be, oh, my mom, she was a strong black woman. She made it work. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that strong black woman that have to carry everything on her back and carry all those burdens and no one helped me. And I had to get all, pay all my bills. Like, that is not something to be proud of. Now, it's great that we're able to do it, but black women, ain't we tired? We should not have to carry everything. So I allow my children to see me be vulnerable. I talk to them about the truth. And even now when they talk about their dads, and my sister and all the stuff that happened, I don't sugarcoat nothing. And I talk about even the things that I did. And I apologize and I own up for my part in their sadness, my part in their family breaking up and all that. I've talked about it with them. So this is my encouragement for anyone that is fearful of being completely honest and vulnerable about how they want to express themselves. Process what you're afraid of. What they gonna say? Okay, if they say something, then what? Life stops. The bills not gonna get paid. I mean, you can't go to sleep at night. What is the alternative? I'm trying to when we really process that. What's gonna happen? You don't get a whooping. You're gonna sit in the corner. Who y'all afraid of?
Ain't nobody stopping you, right?
You not stop me. I can do what I want to do. I'm a grown woman. I can talk about my experiences. I can own my experiences, and I can, It's mine. It's mine to talk about. So if you're feeling like that and you're a little stuck on being really authentic in your creativity, just focus on why. And then I want you to focus on, okay, if you really did it the way that you wanted to do, and people begin to say stuff that you did not like or may hurt your feelings, whatever it is, then what? something you're gonna stop? Because they didn't like it, you're not gonna continue to create? At the end of the day, it's on you. People say and do things so you will stop. People will say, well, you think you all that. No, you think I'm all that.
That's right.
Oh, you think you too good for us. No, you think I'm too good. You can't speak for me. Now, granted, yes, I am too good. I am. All that in a bag of real. It's spicy now. But again, you have to own it and really be authentic and true within your own purpose and your own existence, and all this shit will fall to the side. You won't even care. I don't. I say it all the time. I don't care. I would actually put on a t-shirt. Care. Like without the E. Like in the care. I don't know, y'all. I feel it. We don't figure that.
All right, I think one more question, if you have any. If not, that's cool as well, because this is the last session, but what's happening?
Oh yeah, so yeah, if y'all can join us at Newhouse, we're gonna go to the rooftop. We're gonna mix, mingle, eat, drink, network, all that beautiful stuff. Till about 9 o'clock. You don't have to stay till 9, but I hope that you do. And then tomorrow we are gonna be celebrating Terry McMillan at Frame 88 Studios. It starts at 5:30. I know the website says 3, it's like we get shaky and all that jazz. But 5:30 if you show up for the mixer and all that jazz. And show up and looking fierce. Like come in your gowns and your dresses and have your makeup on and your hair done up, because this is our brand day. This is when we celebrate us. So I want to thank you all. Make sure y'all, follow us on social media. Utilize our hashtag Black Writers Weekend. Tell somebody about it, not just this weekend, but continue to have that conversation about what we're doing. Because again, the work that I do, it is really to benefit everybody. And I really want this to grow. I really want this to be a lesson to a lot of people, but that only happens if you guys also help me do it as well and talk about it.
Nice. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're a room full of creatives nearing the end of this really dope, stimulating experience. What's one thing that you want everyone as they're going back home, wherever they are across the country? What's one thing you want people to take with them?
Okay, so if there's something that you want to do or something that inspires you this weekend, I want you to figure out the steps, all of them. All the steps that it takes to make that happen. Then I want you to logically break down the timeline to get it done. And then I want you to just focus on one step at a time. Don't think about the overall picture. Don't think about the end game. Just look at one little step. When you do that one step, all right, that's out the way. Now let's focus on this one. I promise you, when you get to that finish and that end, that'd be great when y'all come back next year to Black Writers Weekend and you have that idea tangibly in your hand. So that is my encouragement for y'all. It's just that lay out your goals, lay out your plan. I say logically because we all have things that we want to accomplish and experience. But sometimes it takes a lot out of us to get there. So when you think about everything in the big picture, you may get discouraged or you may slack or you may be lazy with it. So don't think about the big picture. Because we all got jobs and obligations and children and all that jazz, all this stuff going on. Just think about that one step at a time and then go to the next one. That is what I want to encourage y'all to do.
I appreciate you for coming up, sharing all this. It was really dope.
I didn't want to do this conversation. I said, all right, we can go ahead and end, but this is cool.